The Dickason family was a family from South Africa who moved to New Zealand because of a good job offer. Everything seemed to be going well in the family's life in the new country. But on September 16th, 20121, shortly after they moved, a crime occurred that not only destroyed the Dickason family, but also shocked the local population to have a better understanding of everything that happened. We need to go back in time to learn a little more about one of the central figures. In this case, Lauren Dickason. Lauren Dickason was born and raised in Pretoria, a city of almost 3 million inhabitants, located in South Africa, and which is the country's administrative capital. She is the daughter of Malcolm and Wendy Folks. According to sources, Lauren had a very difficult time adapting to her school. She couldn't make friends, was the target of bad jokes, and was rarely invited to schoolmates' parties or even dances. She was described by her teachers as a perfectionist and very organized, but also very anxious to the point that she thought everything could go wrong. At just 15 years old, she was already seen as a very depressed and also very anxious person, but despite all these problems, Lauren was also very intelligent, and after she graduated from high school, she went on to study medicine at the University of Cape Town, graduating in 2004. After her graduation, she became a general practitioner. A year later, in 2005, Lauren practiced as a doctor in rural Pretoria, and around the same time she met a man called Graham Dickason. Graham Dickason. Black. Lauren was also a doctor and worked as an orthopedic surgeon. Soon after meeting, the two began to become close and soon began a relationship. Lauren and Graham got married in 2006 and then started making plans for the future. One of the couple's dreams was to have children. They wanted to have many children and create a big family. However, there was a problem. Lauren had fertility problems, and because of this, she was unable to get pregnant. The woman underwent numerous treatments. She underwent in vitro fertilization 17 times, one more painful than the other, according to herself. In the end, even that didn't work, and the already discouraged couple had to turn to egg donors. In 2013, Lauren finally managed to get pregnant a girl who was named Sarah. The couple was very happy, but soon this happiness turned into sadness. Unfortunately, Sarah was born very pretty, mature just 5 months into her pregnancy, and because of this, the girl died a few days later. The couple was obviously devastated. Lauren cried every day for months, and the loss of her daughter took a huge toll on her mental health. She could barely do simple things such as washing the dishes, or even going to the bathroom after that. She did not return to work and began working as her husband's part-time assistant surgeon. Despite all the sadness and mental impact that the loss of their first daughter had on the couple, they did not give up and continued with fertility treatments. In 2014, Lauren managed to get pregnant again, and in September of the same year, she gave birth to another girl who she named Lanleen, was porn healthy, something that left the couple very relieved as they were afraid of the same thing happening to their other daughter Sarah. However, the one who wasn't well was Lauren. The woman became very depressed after Lyon's birth and had enormous difficulty dealing with mother in the year 2018. Lauren became pregnant again through IVF. This time she was expecting twins. Maya and Carla, the name she chose, were born in November of that same year. One of the girls, Carla, was born with a cleft palate, also known as a cleft lip, but said Lauren and Graham had nothing to worry about. The couple was very happy the family was growing as they always wanted. However, Lauren again became very depressed after the birth of her daughters and had enormous difficulty connecting with them to overcome this. Lauren started taking prescription medication and even went to therapy. She also decided to abandon her career as a doctor for good so she could spend more time at home with her daughters. Lauren told those close to her that she loved her daughters, but found raising them extremely challenging. Around this same time, Lauren and Graham hired a nanny named Maria Meni Sanon, who would work for the family for over a year. In 2019, the couple decided to move to New Zealand. They had plans to move in August 2020, but those plans were thwarted due to the global virus and also immigration issues. Despite isolation, Lauren saw a significant improvement in her mental health. Between the end of 2020 and June 2021, she even participated in a wellness program. However, due to the political unrest that South Africa was going through following the arrest of former President Jacob Zuma, which culminated in numerous acts of violence, Lauren's condition worsened. The woman became extremely paranoid and began to fear for the safety of her daughters. She slept with a .99 pistol by her side for several days. Despite her husband's disapproval of such an attitude, she believed that at any moment her home could be invaded and the worst could happen to her entire family. But for the family's sake, at least at that point, Graham's essential skills work visa was approved by Immigration New Zealand. As a result, the family immigrated to the country on August 26, 2021. But what was supposed to be a good thing ended up becoming a nightmare for Lauren. According to herself, the family had to follow the country's protocol and spent 2 weeks in quarantine in a hotel in Auckland, the most populous city in New Zealand. Lauren described the experience as hell on earth. According to her, the room where she stayed with her family for 2 weeks was small, scary, and disgusting. Here, her mental health began to deteriorate again, and she began to become paranoid about things like her daughters being mistreated in the country because they were foreigners. After 2 weeks, the family was released, and on September 11, 2021, they settled in the city of Timaru, Graham. Lauren's husband thought that after they settled in the country, things would get better, but he was wrong. Lauren complained about everything. She said she was unhappy and regretted having moved, according to her. The house they moved into was cold and depressing, and looked nothing like the house they had in South Africa and didn't have all the luxury she was used to. She also didn't like her neighbors very much and found the people of New Zealand hostile thinking about all this. The woman became convinced that she had made a terrible mistake by immigrating to New Zealand as soon as the family arrived in Timaru. GR started working straight away, often working late, while Lauren was isolated at home alone with her 3 daughters. Obviously, this made her mental health, which was already not good. Worse, no one noticed, but Lauren was a time bomb waiting to explode. Then on September 16th, less than a week after the family arrived in Timaru, the tragedy happened. The day started like any other. Lauren took her daughters to school. Leon attended the second day at Teru Christian School, while Carla and Maya attended the first day at preschool. After picking up her daughters from school, Lauren took them for a walk in a park in the middle of the journey. Carla started throwing a tantrum, something that made the woman very angry. Once in the park, everything seemed normal until Lauren mentioned to some women that she saw a man taking photos of her daughters. It is not known whether this really happened or was a delusion of her already fragmented mind. But what is known is that at this point Lauren's mental health had already been depleted. She began to believe that New Zealand was as dangerous as South Africa, and thoughts in her head that were already bad became even worse. On the evening of the same day, Graham, Lauren's husband, went out to dinner with work colleagues, leaving her alone at home with the couple's 3 daughters. Later, Lauren would say that on that particular night, the girls were messier than usual, throwing things around and jumping on the furniture. She said that everything got out of her control, and the only thing she wanted to do at that moment was run far. She would have done this before, because what she actually did was much worse, in a dissociative state. Lauren went to the garage of the house and picked up armbands that belonged to her husband, which had even been purchased by him recently. Afterwards, she gathered all her daughters in one room and told them that she would make beautiful necklaces for each of them with those armbands and asked them to put them around their necks. Lauren then began to each of her daughters, starting with Carla, then Leon, and finally Maya. Since the girls were still breathing, Lauren finished them with a towel and blankets. Well, then Lauren told her daughters that she was very sick and that she would soon leave, and because of that, she couldn't leave them behind, as she didn't know who would take care of them. After committing the crimes, the woman went to the kitchen where she tried to take her own life with a knife and also ingesting several pills. A few hours later, Graham returned to the house and was surprised by the worst scene of his life. His daughters were all in a room already lifeless, and his wife was in the kitchen injured and unconscious. As he approached Lauren, he tried to wake her up while the woman only said it was too late before going into a catatonic state. Graham became desperate and started running through the streets asking for help. It was around 10 p.m. when the family's neighbors, who saw Graham desperate on the street, called the police. When they arrived at the house, the police found the bodies of the 3 girls in the bedroom and Lauren in the kitchen. Lauren received first aid and was then taken to the hospital. Graham also had to be taken to hospital due to shock the next day, September 17th. The police spoke to Lauren at the hospital, who admitted to taking the lives of her 3 daughters. She also said that she never felt that instant maternal love, that mother show, that same day she was formally accused of the crimes committed. The crime shocked New Zealand, and many did not believe that Lauren was actually responsible for it. The case had enormous repercussions in the country, and also in South Africa, which is the family's place of origin. The New Zealand government announced it would help family members of the couple and victims travel to the country, secure a place in managed isolation, in accordance with the country's quarantine requirements of the time. The girl former nanny Mari Subanon said she was very sad and shocked during an interview. The girl's funeral took place in Pretoria, South Africa, and was attended by several family members. A candlelight vigil was held across the street from the house where the family lived. At that vigil, Graham read a letter expressing forgiveness to his wife, honoring the memory of his deceased daughters, and thanking friends and family in New Zealand, South Africa. Africa, and elsewhere, something similar was also held in Tor in honor of the girls. Subsequently, 2 memorials in honor of the 3 sisters were made, one in Timaru in New Zealand and the other in Tor in South Africa on the 18th of September 2021. Lauren appeared in the Timaru District Court and was later referred to a forensic psychiatric ward at Hill Morton Hospital. After some tests, it was determined that she would be admitted to a psychiatric unit at this hospital during her time at Hill Morton Hospital. Lauren was assessed by 5 psychiatrists and forensic psychologists. These assessments lasted more than 53 hours. 3 of the professionals who evaluated Lauren concluded that she suffered from serious mental problems, and her defense could easily plead insanity during the trial. The other 2 professionals concluded that Lauren was mentally healthy and knew exactly what she was doing, and that the reason she took her daughter's lives was because she believed she would die early and did not want another woman to take care of the girls if Graham died during investigations. To try to understand what led Lauren to commit the crimes, the police discovered that she had already spoken to her psychiatrist in South Africa about taking her daughter's lives. She also mentioned this to her own husband, who was very worried, and told her that after they moved to New Zealand, things would get better on October 5, 2021. Lauren's lawyer requested that she be held in pre-trial detention in a psychiatric ward at Hillman Hospital until her trial date. This request was accepted, and the trial was scheduled for July 17, 2023. Once the date arrived, Lauren's trial began in the Christchurch High Court. The eyes of a large part of the population of New Zealand and also South Africa were focused on the court. Several family members of both Lauren and Graham traveled to New Zealand to follow the trial closely. The chosen jury was made up of 12 people, 8 women and 4 men. The first week of the trial focused on reconstructing the events of the day of the crime police officers and rescuers who responded to the call that day, reported with emotion that they found the girls already dead in one of the rooms of the house. Lauren's confession, without any trace of emotion, which was made to the police the day after the crime, and which was recorded, was presented during the court. The jury also watched Graham's statement given to police just hours after learning what had happened in this statement. It was possible to see how upset the man was via video conference. Graham spoke before the court. According to him, Lauren had a history of mental problems and was struggling with it, but he stated that she was an extremely caring mother, and he never imagined that she would be capable of doing what she did. Lauren's parents also spoke in court. According to them, their daughter had been struggling with her mental health since a young age, and after the loss of her first daughter, Sarah, she was never the same. Then it was the turn of the 5 psychiatrists and forensic psychologists who examined Lauren to speak in court. They remained firm in their previous conclusions, in which 3 of them stated that Lauren suffered from severe mental problems to the point that she could plead insanity, while the other 2 said that she knew exactly what she was doing. A digital forensic analyst from the police stated in court that Lauren had made 8 searches on Google regarding doses of medication that she could use in the crime. These searches were deleted by her, but the police managed to recover them. With this information, the prosecution argued that Lauren could have premeditated the entire crime, and if so, she knew exactly what she was doing. The trial lasted a total of 5 weeks, and at the end, both the prosecution and the defense were entitled to their final arguments. The prosecution insisted that Lauren knew exactly what she was doing, and told the jury to find her guilty of the crimes. The defense, on the other hand, made a more emotion-oriented appeal, saying that Lauren was a loving mother who went through a lot that caused a total mental breakdown. They said that if she had received adequate psychiatric care, this tragedy could have been avoided. The case went to the jury on August 16, 2023, and after 15 hours of deliberation, the verdict was reached of the 12 jurors. 11 reached a conclusion. Lauren Dickason was guilty of the crimes and should answer for them like someone normal. The decision was unanimous that despite her mental health issues, Lauren knew exactly what she was doing when she took her daughter's lives upon hearing the verdict. Lauren remained motionless and emotionless. While her lawyers and family burst into tears, Lauren only cried when the order was given to take her back to Hill Morton Hospital, where she would await her sentence. The jury's verdict divided public opinion. A portion of those who followed the case thought it was fair that Lauren was found guilty of the crimes, while another portion considered it unfair, given that the woman had had several mental problems since her childhood and adolescence. Graham Dickerson, Lauren's husband and father of the victims, said there were no winners. After the jury's decision, he returned to South Africa months before the trial began and is trying to get on with his life. The case raised a huge debate about the mental health of women who go through motherhood and are unable to deal with it very well. Several points were raised about this, such as that family and professional support may be essential at a time like this. Currently, Lauren Dickason is in a psychiatric ward at Hillman Hospital in Christchurch. Her sentence was supposed to be handed down on December 19, 2023, but was postponed until the beginning of 2024 based on what is known about New Zealand law. It is likely that Lauren Dickason will be sentenced to life in prison. Well, folks, that was it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Best wishes, and I'll see you in the next video.